So first, why we experiment. The basic reason why people do experiments is that we want to see if one variable causes a change in another variable. The variable that causes the change is called the independent variable, or IV in short, and the one that is the outcome, the one that is affected by the IV, is called the dependent variable. And if you think about that name, dependent, it really makes sense because it depends on what the independent variable does to it. So, for example, we could be looking at the effects of violent movies, that is the independent variable, on people's aggression level, that is the dependent variable. Or you could be testing the effect of watching gender stereotypical cartoons or shows that portray women in some stereotypical ways, and then on the outcome of that, the dependent variable would be women's self-perceptions. Or another example might be someone studying the effect of what types of clothing you wear, and whether or not people are likely to comply with some requests that you make or favors that you ask them to do. So the type of clothing you wear is the independent variable, and the dependent variable is how people react to you, whether or not they do things for you. So that's cause and effect relationships. And plain and simple, some relationships between some variables simply can't be measured using other methods, like surveys, for example. If you think about this last example I gave you about the influence of a person's outfit on people's reactions to that person, it really becomes very clear that it would be very difficult or impossible to use a questionnaire, and where you may be asked, you could ask people, does people's clothing have an effect on you? But they really wouldn't ever tell you truthfully, and a lot of the information you would get would be distorted. So some things just can't be measured in a survey or a questionnaire or some other design. If you look at these pictures here, they illustrate a very, very famous study that was conducted in the 60s and 70s, and that research was done by Albert Bandura, and he was interested in whether children who were watching adults committing aggressive, violent acts. You can see, maybe not very clearly, but this woman here is holding a hammer and she's pounding on a Bobo doll, which is like an inflatable doll, with this hammer. And the researcher wanted to know if a child watching a video of a person engaging in this behavior would later copy a behavior like this. And you can see that this is a very little girl, maybe a 3-year-old, and she is engaging in the same kind of behavior with a hammer. Well, how else other than an experiment could you collect this information? You could not ask the little girl whether or not she would copy a behavior she saw. So you really have to observe people engaging in actions, and that's why experiments are very useful for this.